If you've ever thought of launching your own e-commerce merch business, then this Build, Measure, Learn challenge is for you. I'm Doc John, the Entre Professor, and welcome to week 2 of the Build, Measure, Learn challenge. This week, we're going to launch an e-commerce merch site with $0 in upfront investment. If you're just tuning in, this is the second of 10 weekly challenges to help you learn how to build minimum viable products, or MVPs. You build MVPs to be able to test them in the market with real-world feedback from customers. So in this case, we're going to be building a real-world online e-commerce business. In this video, I'll introduce the week 2 challenge and provide some tips on how to approach it. I'll also demonstrate an example of a business idea that I have so you can see how I do it. Be sure to stay until the end for a preview of next week's challenge. Let's get into it. For week number 2, the challenge is to build an e-commerce merch business using 2 free, easy-to-use platforms, Gumroad and Printful. Gumroad is an e-commerce platform that handles all sales transactions, payments, customer interactions with no upfront costs. They make their money on transaction fees, yet they charge less than many of the competing platforms, making it a great way to get started. Printful is an online merch printing and fulfillment business that handles all order taking, on-demand product production, and delivery. Like Gumroad, there's no fees to get set up, and you determine what the markup you want to make on your products. This means you don't have to lay out any cash up front. Just bring your designs and Printful does the rest. The goal of this challenge is to learn how to leverage pre-built APIs, that's application program interfaces, to get multiple no-code platforms to interact with one another. If you're thinking, I have no idea what an API is, no worries. APIs exist so that coding is not necessary when you need to get apps to talk to one another. The e-commerce platform and the print-on-demand platform that you'll be using for this challenge already have an API, so all you'll need to do is activate it, and I'll show you how. Let's start with the build phase. Here are some tips to succeed at this challenge. Number 1, start out with a graphics design app like Canva or Adobe Express. Come up with a design for an image or statements that you'd like to print on a t-shirt, a mug, or some other kind of merch. Number 2, set up accounts for both of the 2 platforms, Gumroad.com and Printful.com. Number 3 is setting up Printful. Create your products on Printful so that they're ready to sell whenever you attach Printful to Gumroad, the e-commerce platform. Number 4 is the Gumroad setup. You're going to want to set up your storefront and your payment account. Then you're going to activate the API to Printful so that these 2 platforms can interact with one another. Number 5, promote your new e-commerce store using your Gumroad storefront page, or embed this storefront into a landing page or other website like the one that you created in the week 1 Build, Measure, Learn challenge. Now that may sound like a lot, but I'm going to build an example of an e-commerce store using these 2 platforms so you can see how it's done. So here we are in Canva where I've created the logo for the Build, Measure, Learn loop. And now I want to put this onto a t-shirt. So I'm actually going to print this on a t-shirt using Printful. But first I need an image to put on Gumroad so I know what it looks like. The good part about Canva is they actually will print for you. If you just wanted one, you could actually print it through them. So I'm going to use the feature that shows what my logo would look like on a t-shirt to be able to come up with my first image. You'll notice here I have a dark blue background, which will be my shirt size, but ultimately when this goes onto a t-shirt, it won't use the background color at all. However, if I don't have background color here, you wouldn't be able to see the logo because it would be white on white. So when I click on Print with Canva, it's going to show me what the shirt is going to look like. And as you can see, it's showing on a black shirt, and I can go down and look at different angles and come up with different images of the shirt from both the front and the back. And I'm only putting something on the front. But what this will do is give me some images that I can use. So I can save these images using a screen capture and then use those on the Gumroad website to show off the product. So let's start out with Gumroad. Gumroad is an e-commerce platform. It's actually not unsimilar from platforms that host online courses or merch or other products, even like Shopify or Thinkific or Kajabi. It originally started out for online courses, but now it's really become an e-commerce storefront for almost any type of product. One of the benefits to Gumroad over lots of the other choices that are out there is that it doesn't charge you a monthly fee, and also the transaction fees that are charged by the platform are much lower than a lot of other platforms that are out there. So particularly when you're getting started and you're trying to at least cover your costs or get to a baseline profit margin, this can be a really good place to start. Later, you may want to move to a different platform that has higher fees, but also gives you a lot more features and maybe it allows you to do more with the platform. In the meantime, though, Gumroad can be a great place to start, particularly if you're trying to get started without putting out any cash to begin with. When you first go to gumroad.com, you can see all the ways that you can find content or products that you might be looking for. But in addition to being able to find products and services to purchase, this is a platform that you can use to create your own e-commerce storefront. If you decide it's time to start selling, it'll bring you to a screen that tells you about it. Go from $0 to $1. So getting started, getting that first dollar in Gumroad is one of their primary functions and definitely a strength of their platform. But we'll go ahead and click on the button that says Start Selling. And at this point, we can log in with any of the usual platforms, or you can create your own account. When you first create your account on Gumroad, you'll identify how you want them to communicate with you. You'll set up your payment process and you'll really start to brand your account. So we'll use the settings field here just to take a look at some of the things that you can set up as your defaults, and you can go back later and change these. So in addition to setting up your email address for contact, you can identify your notification settings and how you want to be notified when certain things happen. In particular, you may want an email or a mobile SMS message letting you know when you've made a sale. That can be very gratifying, and so these are the kinds of things you can set up, letting it know when you want to be notified, something within the platform. You can also set up a profile that others can see to see who you are as a seller. This is where Gumroad is a great way to be able to sell authentically as yourself and really build a relationship with your customers. You can see here some of the products that I've already created or previewing, and there's going to be details about how I want to be viewed, including a profile site where you can view the products. You can include your name, a bio, a photograph, and links to your social media and other details about your business that you want to appear as someone is viewing your site. Once you've created the site, you can preview the site so you can see what it will look like when someone comes to visit. In this case, I've created 2 sample products, and I'll show you in a moment how to do this using the Build, Measure, Learn logo. You can also set up a payment process using Stripe or PayPal or another payment platform, whatever it is that you like to use to be able to get cash into your account when you do receive payment for products that you sell. This is also where later we'll set up the application connection to Printful, which is going to be the second part of our setup. Once your account is set up and operating, when you log onto Gumroad, your dashboard is going to show you how many sales you've made and the total revenue you've made. This is just a sample site, so it's just showing one transaction. But as you start to promote your product and get traction in the market, you'll start to see more and more sales accumulate and you'll see revenue occur. And you can review your results over time. You can also see all of your best-selling items. So a lot of your data and statistics are going to show on this dashboard so you can see how you're doing as you go. This includes activity like when a sale was made and what products were purchased. For this week's challenge, you're going to want to create a product, at least one, so that you can start to sell something and you start to use this to promote on your various channels to see how customers are responding to your product. So these are some examples of the kinds of merch that you can create very easily. In Printful, you have all kinds of options, and then you'll be able to then show those products here in Gumroad so that the transactions can take place. So now we'll give the product a name. Build number 2 t-shirt, and a description. So say t-shirt with the build logo from the Build, Measure, Learn loop. We can also select a photograph of an image of the product. Now we have the photo that I created in Canva of the shirt, someone wearing the shirt. Now we'll choose our logo file, and that will bring up our logo, or our thumbnail. Now we have our thumbnail. And before we leave this page, we can add a number of different details, but in particular, we need to identify a shipping destination. And once we go to this screen, we'll choose the United States. You could also choose other countries around the world if you want to sell internationally. Now that we've done this, we're ready to publish our product. Once we've published the product, we can click on the preview button and we can see what our actual site looks like. We have an image, we have a description, we have the price, everything's here, and you're ready to go with this product. So I'll move over now to Printful. You'll need to set up a Printful account, but once you've created that account, you'll have everything you need to get started. This is very simple. All you have to do is set up your profile, your payment information, and then you can get started creating products. And in a few moments, we'll link Gumroad to the products you created here in Printful. If you're not sure what to sell, you can use the AI Enhance feature to actually show you what products are selling well and give you ideas for some of the merch you might create. As you can see, it's recommending some different crew neck sweatshirts and blended hoodies, as well as cases for iPhones. So the AI is actually helping you to choose some of the products that sell well if you have a good audience. Printful is really helpful when it comes to getting started. You can choose from templates for the product you want, add your logo, and see what it's going to look like before you get ready to sell it. And we can identify any type of product that we want to sell. And as you can see, some of the t-shirt selections that I've used from the past are appearing, and we can do some additional searching here. So let's say we want to do a hoodie. So once we select hoodie, we can see there's lots of options here. They range in price from relatively inexpensive, maybe $18 or $19, all the way up to fairly pricey, $57, $58. I'm going to choose this premium eco hoodie. It looks like it's available in either white or black. I'm going to choose black so that it offsets the white logo that's going to go in, and we'll choose large for the size. And now we're ready to create a product template. From here, we can drag and drop the logo, and it's going to show us what it will look like. So I'm going to make this bigger. See if we can really fill the space. If you want even better quality, please upload a larger image, so we could make a larger image or higher resolution image. But this is going to show us what it's going to look like. We can go here to see a little bit broader view of the photo. So now we have our product, and we can save to templates. And when we look at the product templates, we can now see that among all of the ones that I've created previously. So we have some different choices available for the kinds of products that we want to sell. And then we can choose which of these products we're going to sell through the Gumroad e-commerce storefront. Once we have the product templates created, we're ready to connect our Gumroad store. To do that in Printful, we'll select Stores. And as you can see here, my Gumroad store is connected. Also below, you have the opportunity to choose additional platforms or create a manual API. The good news is with Gumroad, it's already established with a standard API, so we're just going to activate by choosing platform. When you come into this area, you can see there's lots of choices, so you can use Printful along with any number of different platforms. We've been talking about Gumroad, but you could also choose Shopify or Etsy, Wix, or WooCommerce. I'm going to move down the list here, and you see all the different choices that are available, and I'll look for Gumroad. So once you find the platform you're looking for, click Connect, and it'll walk you through the remaining steps. There is a really great video here from one of the product managers at Printful that walks through step by step, so if you get stuck, be sure to watch this video. Now we're back in Gumroad, and if we go down to settings, we can now see when we look for applications, we can see that these are already connected, and you have the Printful connection right here, so you have everything you need for these two platforms to talk to one another. You've now created the product in Printful, you've set up your storefront in Gumroad, and now they will talk to each other, so when someone puts an order on your storefront, Printful will automatically create the product and send it right to your customer. You'll just collect the difference between the cost to produce the product and ship it and what's been charged to your customer. So given that, when you create your pricing, be sure to leave yourself enough of a profit margin to make sure that you cover all the costs that you have. You'll also want to make a decision about whether to include printing and absorb that as part of your cost, or if you prefer to pass that along to your customer. Once you've built your e-commerce merch store with Printful and Gumroad, you're ready for the measure stage of the process. For the measure part of the challenge this week, there are many ways that you can collect data. Here's a few examples. First, you could share a link with people you already have access to, such as an email list through social media or your own connections. You could also conduct a survey among people you have access to, asking them to view the site and provide you with feedback through a survey. Another way to measure for your e-commerce site would be to reach out to people who fit the target customer persona of your product and ask them for an interview. Use the e-commerce storefront to show your idea and talk with them as they are viewing the page, asking for their feedback. Ideally, you'll first come up with a hypothesis to test. For instance, 100 or more people will express interest in the product or service within 2 weeks. Or you might say, I'll make a certain number of sales in the first week that the site's available. These are some good ways to measure the response to your site with real customers in the real world. Now, the learn stage of the process. Once you've collected data from the measure stage, capture what you've learned. Make sure you keep a record of all of this information because it will help you to make decisions in the future about what to do with the next iteration of your minimum viable product. If your experiment was successful, consider how you might build on this validated result. If it wasn't successful, consider why it didn't work and think about how you might test the results differently to achieve a different result. Capture these learnings in a document or a notebook so you can build on what you've discovered and learned. This is just one example of how you can build an online e-commerce merch business using free, no-code tools. Now it's your turn. Good luck with this week's challenge, and please share below what you've learned from this second weekly challenge and ways you plan to apply this to your own new venture. If you're ready to start working on the week 3 challenge, here's a preview. The challenge will be to build a media wish list app using a no-code platform called Glide. Tune in next week for more details. Keep going.